Alright, so it's an hour and a half, but I listened to this entire debate between Marxist professor Richard Wolff and Gene Epstein. Now, I've talked about Richard Wolff before. He's a self-avowed Marxist, and I just have a few issues with some of the things he said in this debate. Like I said, it's an hour and a half long, so if you find the time, take a listen, and I linked the debate below. And by the way, this was an Oxford-style debate, and the free market side ended up winning the debate, gaining more support at the end, while the socialist side lost a trivial amount of support. So, nice little win for them. But anyway, a couple things to point out about Richard Wolff in this debate. As I said, he's a self-avowed Marxist. He makes the same mistake he has always made, and that is that he constantly critiques the 2008 financial crash, and he says that this was a result of capitalism. Now, this is just ridiculous. He almost never mentions the Federal Reserve. Almost. He actually does mention it once in this debate, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But the Federal Reserve is antithetical to free markets. It does not exist because of market forces. It can only exist in its current form because of powers granted to it by government. And the government, of course, is the forced collectivization of power, the forced collectivization of money, the forced collectivization of resources, and the government's existence also leads to the socializing of losses and hardships on the national scale, whether you agreed to take part in their schemes or not. And the Federal Reserve owes its entire existence to this cancerous organization. This should not be aligned with free market capitalism in any sense whatsoever, and it's amazing to me that Richard Wolff, as intelligent as he is, does not understand this and keeps making this mistake over and over again. Now, as I said before, from what I remember, Richard Wolff does mention the Federal Reserve once in this debate, in which he says that capitalists want to just tinker around with the Federal Reserve, but the socialists want real change. This could not be further from the truth. True free market capitalists who are worth any salt at all do not wish to simply tinker around with the Federal Reserve. We do not say that we need a Federal Reserve, we just wish they would raise interest rates from time to time or take it easy on inflation and maybe not monetize all the debt the US government wants to take on. We do not say that. We want to rip the Federal Reserve out at the roots. We say that there should be no Federal Reserve chairman at all. There should be no job description in the US that says you will be given government granted influence over nearly the entire banking industry, the entire monetary system, and nearly all the credit markets. So Richard Wolff, we don't want to merely tinker around with the Federal Reserve. We want to relegate it to the history books and be done with it. That would be a massive change we advocate for, so stop trying to pretend as if free marketers are totally complicit with the way things are. In fact, as I kind of alluded to before, Richard Wolff says in this debate that the capitalist side of things want everything to stay the same. Now, this was a bit baffling to me. Where did the libertarian or ANCAP movement come from? What are they saying and what are they advocating for? Do we not constantly express our opinion on how we need to rid ourselves of corporate handouts or corporate subsidies or end the monumental government intrusion into the healthcare industry or the educational industry or the financial industry? Do we not constantly criticize the government for their endless wars which enrich semi-private defense contractors? I mean, I don't know how private you can be when you make untold amounts of wealth off of the taxpayer dime. You're just a de facto arm of government at that point. But the point is, Richard Wolff, it seems, did no research whatsoever before this debate on what true free marketers or libertarians or students of the Austrian school actually advocate for, and considering he was debating Gene Epstein, who are all three of those things, it would have probably been wise to brush up on those things. The way Richard Wolff debated this topic sounded like it would if I debated a Marxist and accused them of being in favor of private companies exploiting workers or something. There's plenty of things to criticize Marxists over, but that's not one of them, and it would take about 2 minutes of research to realize that that is not a coherent argument against their ideology. Well, that in a nutshell is the position Richard Wolff put himself in here. But anyway, I linked the debate below. Go check it out when you've got the time. And also like this video, sub to the channel, and share the video around, and take it easy.